The night is quiet over the Nile. A soft breeze moves across the dark water. The river flows slowly beneath a sky filled with stars. Along the muddy banks, tall reeds sway gently in the darkness. Small insects hum in the warm air. Somewhere far away, a dog barks once and then falls silent again. The villages of ancient Egypt are mostly asleep now. Oil lamps have burned low. Cooking fires have faded into glowing embers. Families rest together inside simple mud-brick homes. The long day has ended, and tomorrow's work waits patiently beyond the horizon. As the river continues its endless journey through the land, let your mind drift back thousands of years. Leave behind the noise of the modern world. Step softly onto an ancient path worn smooth by countless bare feet and simple sandals. The air is warm even at night. The earth still holds the heat of the day. Above you, the stars shine with the same quiet light that watched over farmers, laborers, fishermen, servants, and children long ago. Tonight, we will spend time with one of those children. Not a king. Not a noble. Not a famous scribe whose name survived on stone. Just an ordinary child. A child born into a world where comfort was rare. A child raised in a home where every day required effort. A child whose life began long before soft beds, electric lights, or easy conveniences. In many ways, comfort was not something people expected. Life simply was what it was. The river rose and fell. The crops grew or failed. The sun climbed into the sky every morning. And people worked. They worked because they had to. They worked because families depended on them. They worked because survival itself required steady hands and patient effort. Imagine a small village beside one of the many branches of the Nile. The houses stand close together. Their walls are made from mud mixed with straw. The roofs are flat. The streets are narrow and dusty. During the day, the village is filled with movement. Workers carry baskets. Children fetch water. Goats wander through open spaces. Women grind grain between heavy stones. Merchants arrive with donkeys loaded with goods. But now the village sleeps. Inside one small house, a child lies on a woven reed mat. The floor beneath the mat is hard-packed earth. There is no soft mattress. No pillow filled with feathers. No blankets piled high. The child sleeps because sleep is necessary, not because the sleeping place is especially comfortable. The night air drifts through small openings in the walls. Family members rest nearby. Everyone shares the same space. There are quiet sounds all around. Slow breathing. Occasional movement. The faint rustle of straw baskets stored against the wall. Outside, the Nile continues flowing through the darkness. Soon morning will come. And when it does, the child will wake. Not because of an alarm. Not because someone gently calls their name. The day itself will wake them. The first pale light appears in the east. Birds begin singing. Workers stir from sleep. Animals become restless. The village slowly comes alive. The child opens tired eyes. Already the air feels warm. Already there is work waiting. Being raised without comfort begins very early. Children in ancient Egypt often learned responsibilities almost as soon as they could walk. Every pair of hands mattered. Every person contributed. Even small tasks helped the family survive. The child rises from the reed mat. Dust clings lightly to bare feet. The house is simple. A few storage jars stand against one wall. Baskets hold grain. Simple tools rest in corners. Nothing exists simply for decoration. Nearly everything has a purpose. The smell of bread already fills the air. Someone in the household has been awake before sunrise. Grinding grain. Preparing dough. Starting the cooking fire. Many mornings begin this way. Again and again. Year after year. The child eats a simple meal. Perhaps bread. Perhaps onions. Perhaps a few dates when available. The food is plain. There is little variety. But it provides energy for the long day ahead. Outside, sunlight spreads across the village. The Nile glitters softly. Workers begin moving toward fields. Others head toward workshops. Some carry fishing nets. Others carry tools. The child follows family members into the morning. Dust rises from the path beneath their feet. The day grows brighter and hotter. Heat is one of the constant companions of childhood in ancient Egypt. It arrives every morning. It settles over fields and villages. It fills the air with a heavy stillness. By midday, it can feel as though the entire world is resting beneath a blanket of sunlight. Children grow accustomed to it. They learn to work through it. They learn to endure it. Comfort rarely enters the equation. The child reaches the fields. Green crops stretch across fertile land nourished by the river. Beyond them lies the desert. Endless and silent. The contrast is striking. Life beside the Nile depends entirely on water. Without the river, everything would change. The child understands this long before learning to read. Everyone understands it. The river feeds the crops. The crops feed the people. The people survive another year. Simple truths shape daily life. The morning passes slowly. Adults work steadily. Children help where they can. Tasks vary with age. Some carry water. Some gather reeds. Some watch younger siblings. Some help chase birds away from crops. The work may seem small. Yet it matters. The child learns lessons through repetition. Not through books. Not through long explanations. Through doing. Through watching. Through helping. Day after day. Season after season. As the sun climbs higher, shadows shorten. The air becomes thick with heat. Sweat gathers on skin. Dust clings to legs and feet. Workers pause briefly to drink water. Then they continue. There is always more work waiting. Being raised without comfort does not necessarily mean being unhappy. This is important to understand. The child laughs sometimes. Plays sometimes. Feels joy sometimes. But comfort and happiness are not the same thing. Life contains moments of warmth and affection. Yet physical ease remains rare. The body is often tired. The hands are often busy. The feet are often sore. These conditions feel normal. Because everyone lives this way. At midday, the village grows quieter. Even animals seek shade. The child sits beneath a simple shelter. Nearby, workers eat bread and rest briefly. Conversations drift through the warm air. Nothing feels rushed. The heat slows everything. The Nile sparkles in the distance. Its water reflects the bright sky above. For a few precious moments, there is stillness. A chance to breathe. A chance to rest tired muscles. Then work begins again. The afternoon stretches long across the land. The child watches adults carefully. Watching is education. Watching teaches farming. Watching teaches fishing. Watching teaches building. Watching teaches survival. Knowledge passes from one generation to the next through countless ordinary moments. No grand ceremony marks these lessons. They simply happen. A father demonstrates how to tie a rope. A mother explains how grain should be stored. An older sibling shows how to carry water without spilling it. Small lessons accumulate. Year after year. Slowly the child becomes capable. Slowly responsibility grows. As evening approaches, the sunlight softens. Long shadows return. The worst heat begins to fade. Workers start making their way home. The village fills once more with movement. Animals return. Voices echo softly between mud-brick walls. Cooking fires appear. Thin streams of smoke drift upward. The child feels tired now. Not the tiredness of a single day. The deeper tiredness that comes from a life built around physical effort. Yet evening brings comfort of another kind. Family. Food. Familiar voices. Simple routines repeated countless times. Inside the home, bread bakes near the fire. The smell fills the room. It mixes with smoke and warm earth. The child sits nearby. Perhaps helping. Perhaps simply resting. Outside, darkness slowly gathers. Stars appear one by one. The Nile becomes a ribbon of shadow beneath the night sky. The village settles into a quieter rhythm. This is often the most peaceful time of day. Work is finished. Tomorrow remains far away. For a little while, people can simply exist. Stories may be shared. Memories exchanged. Children listen closely. Ancient worlds survive through stories. The child learns family history. Village history. Little pieces of wisdom carried forward through generations. No written record may preserve these moments. Yet they matter deeply. They help shape identity. They create belonging. And belonging can ease hardship. The night grows deeper. The cooking fire fades. The house becomes dark. Once again, family members prepare for sleep. The reed mat waits. The hard floor waits. The same sleeping place as yesterday. The same sleeping place as tomorrow. There is no expectation that life should be softer. No dream of luxurious comfort. Only the steady rhythm of existence. The child lies down. Muscles ache slightly. Hands are tired. Eyes grow heavy. Outside, the Nile continues flowing through the darkness just as it always has. The stars watch silently from above. A warm breeze slips through the village. And slowly, gently, another day comes to an end. Far beyond the horizon, another dawn is already preparing to rise over the ancient land. The darkness remains for a little while longer. The village rests beneath the stars. Most homes are silent now. The cooking fires have gone cold. The last conversations have faded into sleep. Even the animals have settled into the quiet rhythm of the night. Only the Nile continues without pause. Its water moves gently through the darkness, brushing against reeds and muddy banks. Small ripples catch fragments of moonlight. Somewhere in the distance, a fisherman checks a net before returning home. His footsteps disappear into the stillness. Inside the small mud brick house, the child sleeps beside family members. The room is warm. The air carries the faint smell of baked bread, dust, smoke, and earth. These scents cling to daily life. They become so familiar that they almost disappear. The child shifts slightly on the reed mat. The floor remains hard beneath it. There is no expectation of softness. The body learns to accept what is available. This lesson begins very early. For children raised in ancient Egypt, comfort is rarely something separate from necessity. A cool patch of shade during the afternoon can feel comforting. A fresh loaf of bread can feel comforting. A few moments sitting beside family after work can feel comforting. Comfort is found in small things. Not because people choose simplicity. Because simplicity is all that exists. Eventually the eastern sky begins to lighten once again. The stars slowly fade. A pale band of silver appears beyond the desert. The village stirs. Another day begins. The child wakes to familiar sounds. Sandals scraping against packed earth. A clay jar being moved. The crackling of a fire being prepared. Voices speaking softly in the morning darkness. These sounds have marked every morning of the child's life. They form the rhythm of existence. Outside, the air feels cool for a brief moment. Soon the heat will return. Everyone knows this. That is why so much work begins before sunrise. The child follows an older family member toward the river. The path is already busy. Women carry empty jars. Farmers walk toward fields. Laborers move in small groups. Donkeys shuffle along dusty roads. The Nile appears ahead, wide and calm. Morning sunlight spreads slowly across the water. The sight never becomes ordinary. Even people who see it every day pause sometimes to admire it. Without the river, there would be no village. No crops. No bread. No life. The child kneels beside the water. Hands dip into the cool river. For a moment, relief spreads through tired muscles. The water feels gentle. Refreshing. Alive. Nearby, fishermen prepare their boats. Their movements are practiced and calm. Wood creaks softly. Nets are checked. Ropes are adjusted. These men have performed the same tasks thousands of times. Many began learning as children. Just as this child is learning now. Growing up without comfort often means growing up close to work. Work is never far away. Children watch it constantly. They absorb it naturally. They understand that adulthood is approaching long before adulthood arrives. The child returns home carrying water. The clay jar feels heavy. Arms grow tired. But carrying water is an ordinary task. The village depends upon countless ordinary tasks. One person gathers fuel. Another grinds grain. Another repairs baskets. Another tends animals. Every effort joins together like threads in a woven mat. Without one thread, the whole thing weakens. Inside the house, breakfast waits. Simple bread. Perhaps a few vegetables. Perhaps some dried fish if the family has been fortunate. The meal is eaten slowly. Nothing is wasted. Food requires too much effort to produce. Every grain matters. Every loaf matters. Children learn this early. The lesson does not require words. They see how hard adults work to provide food. That understanding becomes part of daily life. The sun climbs steadily higher. The day begins in earnest. Today the child accompanies relatives working near a construction site. Across ancient Egypt, building never truly stops. Walls require repair. Homes require expansion. Storage buildings require maintenance. Temples rise slowly over many years. Every structure demands labor. The child walks along dusty roads. Warm wind moves across the landscape. Sand drifts gently along the ground. Ahead, workers carry baskets filled with mud and straw. Others shape bricks beneath the growing sun. Their movements are steady. Patient. Unhurried. There is little wasted motion. The child watches carefully. The process seems simple. Mud is mixed. Straw is added. The mixture is shaped into bricks. The bricks dry beneath the sun. But simple does not mean easy. The labor is exhausting. Hands become rough. Shoulders ache. Backs grow sore. The child notices these things. Perhaps not consciously. But the lessons sink in all the same. Life requires effort. Buildings require effort. Food requires effort. Everything requires effort. Nearby, a group of workers rests briefly beneath a shade structure. Their faces show fatigue. Yet they speak quietly among themselves. Someone shares water. Another shares bread. The child notices these moments too. Hardship often creates cooperation. People help one another because they understand the burden. Everyone carries it. As the morning passes, heat gathers over the land. The sky becomes bright and endless. The air shimmers above stone and sand. Dust sticks to skin. Sweat runs down faces. The child grows tired. Yet the work continues. There is no dramatic complaint. No great struggle. Simply endurance. 1 hour follows another. This quiet endurance shapes much of childhood. Many modern comforts do not exist. Shade is precious. Cool water is precious. Rest is precious. Because these things are limited, they are appreciated deeply. The child learns gratitude without ever hearing the word. At midday, work slows. Workers gather beneath whatever shade they can find. Some sit against walls. Others rest beneath woven coverings. The child settles beside older laborers. Bread is shared. Water is passed carefully from person to person. Conversations drift through the heavy air. No one speaks loudly. The heat discourages unnecessary effort. The village beyond the work site appears almost sleepy. Even animals move more slowly now. A donkey stands motionless beneath a tree. A dog sleeps in the dust. Birds hide among reeds near the river. Everything seems wrapped in sunlight. The child closes tired eyes for a moment. Not sleeping. Simply resting. Listening. The sounds of ancient Egypt are often gentle. Wind moving across fields. Water lapping against riverbanks. Footsteps on packed earth. Voices carried softly through warm air. The world is busy. Yet it rarely feels loud. Eventually work begins again. The afternoon stretches ahead. The child helps carry smaller loads. Nothing too heavy. Nothing too difficult. Yet enough to contribute. Enough to learn. Growing older means receiving more responsibility. Each year brings new expectations. Each year brings less freedom. This is simply the way life unfolds. By the time many children reach adolescence, they already possess practical skills that adults depend upon. They have spent years preparing. Years observing. Years helping. The education of ordinary life never truly stops. As the sun begins its slow descent, shadows lengthen once more. Relief spreads through the air. The worst heat begins to retreat. Workers straighten aching backs. Tools are gathered. Materials are stored. The day gradually releases its grip. The child walks home with family members. Dust coats their feet. Their clothes smell of sun and earth. Everyone moves more slowly now. Fatigue settles deeply into muscles. Yet there is comfort in returning home. The familiar streets appear ahead. Children play briefly before evening meals. Merchants finish their business. Animals are secured for the night. The village feels alive in a gentle way. Not energetic. Not rushed. Simply active. Human life unfolding according to ancient rhythms. Inside the home, preparations for dinner begin. Grain is ground. Dough is shaped. A fire crackles softly. The child helps where possible. Evening tasks are part of the routine. Everyone contributes. The work never fully disappears. It only changes form. As darkness approaches, the temperature slowly eases. A breeze arrives from the river. It moves through narrow streets and open doorways. People notice immediately. After a long day beneath the sun, even a small breeze feels wonderful. The child sits near the entrance of the house. The sky turns gold. Then orange. Then deep blue. Birds cross overhead on their way to resting places. The Nile reflects fading light. The entire landscape seems softer now. The day's hardships fade slightly into the background. For a little while, there is peace. The evening meal is simple. Bread. Vegetables. Perhaps fish. Perhaps beans. Nothing elaborate. Yet after a day of labor, the meal feels satisfying. The child eats quietly. Hunger makes ordinary food taste wonderful. Another lesson learned early. When effort fills the day, simple rewards become meaningful. After dinner, family members remain together. This time is precious. The work is done. The darkness protects them from the sun. The village grows quieter. Stories emerge. Not grand stories of kings. Not tales carved into temple walls. Small stories. Family stories. Memories. Advice. Observations about crops, weather, neighbors, and daily life. The child listens carefully. These moments help shape understanding of the world. Knowledge flows through conversation. Wisdom passes from one generation to the next. No classroom exists. No formal lecture is given. The lessons arrive naturally. Wrapped inside ordinary evenings. Outside, stars appear once more. Thousands of them. Brilliant and clear above the desert. The child gazes upward. Ancient people spent much of their lives beneath open skies. They knew the stars well. They watched them through every season. They marked time by their appearance. The sky felt familiar. Reliable. Endless. Soon sleep begins calling once again. Bodies tired from labor cannot resist it for long. The child returns to the reed mat. Family members settle nearby. The room grows quiet. Only faint sounds drift through the walls. A distant animal. A soft breeze. The murmur of the river far away. The child closes weary eyes. Tomorrow will look much like today. The same river. The same fields. The same roads. The same work. And yet each day adds another layer to the person they are becoming. A life without comfort is not necessarily a life without meaning. It is a life shaped by effort. By family. By routine. By endurance. Outside, the Nile flows patiently beneath the stars. Its waters move through the darkness as they have for countless generations. And within the quiet village, surrounded by warm earth and ancient silence, another night settles gently over the sleeping child. The night deepens around the village. The stars remain bright above the Nile, scattered across the sky like tiny points of silver light. The river moves quietly through the darkness, never hurrying, never stopping. Its gentle flow seems almost like breathing. Inside the mud-brick house, the child sleeps. The long day has left its mark. Arms are tired. Legs are tired. Even dreams seem heavy with the familiar sights of village life. Fields. Water. Dusty roads. Warm sunlight. The simple world that surrounds the child each day follows them even into sleep. For a few precious hours, work disappears. Responsibilities fade. The body rests. Yet the night itself is not completely silent. Ancient villages have their own quiet sounds. A donkey shifts its weight nearby. A dog wanders through the narrow street. Wind brushes against the walls. The river whispers in the distance. These sounds have surrounded the child since birth. They are as familiar as the voices of family members. No one notices them anymore. They belong to the night. Eventually the stars begin to fade. Darkness softens. The horizon brightens little by little. Morning arrives once again. Another day. Another cycle. Another chance to continue the endless work that supports life along the Nile. The child wakes before the sun has fully appeared. For a few moments there is stillness. The room feels cool compared to what it will become later. This coolness is brief. Everyone knows it. Soon the heat will return. Soon the village will glow beneath another day of relentless sunlight. Family members begin moving around the house. Someone prepares grain. Someone checks stored food. Someone gathers tools for the coming day. The child joins the routine without being asked. Children raised in this world quickly learn what is expected. Daily habits become automatic. There is comfort in routine, even when comfort itself is scarce. Outside, dawn spreads slowly across the land. The Nile catches the first light. Golden reflections shimmer on the surface. Birds rise from the reeds. Fishermen push small boats into the water. Farmers begin walking toward their fields. The entire landscape seems to awaken together. The child steps onto the dusty road. Bare feet press against cool earth. For now, the ground remains pleasant. By midday it will become almost too warm to touch. The child knows this from experience. Many lessons come from simply living through the same cycle over and over again. The seasons teach. The river teaches. The sun teaches. Today the child accompanies family members working near the fields once again. The harvest season is still some time away. Plants stretch toward the sky. Green rows spread across fertile land beside the river. Workers move carefully among them. The child carries a small basket. The task is simple. Gather weeds. Clear debris. Help where possible. The work is repetitive. Yet repetition shapes life in ancient Egypt. The same actions performed day after day eventually become skills. Skills become responsibilities. Responsibilities become adulthood. The process happens slowly. Almost unnoticed. The child bends toward the ground. Warm sunlight touches the back of the neck. The scent of earth fills the air. Nearby, older workers move steadily through the fields. Their motions appear effortless. Years of practice have made every movement efficient. The child watches closely. Watching remains one of the most important forms of learning. No formal instruction is needed. Observation teaches nearly everything. As the morning continues, the village becomes fully awake. Voices drift across the fields. Donkeys pull simple loads. Merchants travel along distant roads. Children run errands for parents. Life unfolds in hundreds of small movements. Nothing feels dramatic. Nothing feels urgent. Yet every person remains busy. Ancient communities survive because everyone contributes. Even the smallest effort matters. The sun climbs higher. The air grows warmer. A familiar heaviness settles across the landscape. Heat changes everything. It slows movement. It softens conversation. It encourages patience. Fighting against the heat is impossible. People learn to work with it instead. The child wipes sweat from the forehead. Already the morning coolness feels far away. The bright sky stretches endlessly overhead. Not a cloud can be seen. Only sunlight. The same sunlight that shines on temples, villages, deserts, and riverbanks. The same sunlight that has shaped life here for countless generations. By mid-morning, workers pause briefly. Water jars are opened. Bread is shared. The child sits beside older relatives. The shade beneath a simple shelter feels wonderful. Even a narrow strip of shadow can feel like a gift. The child drinks carefully. Water must never be wasted. Everything requires effort. Someone carried this water. Someone stored it. Someone protected it from contamination. Ancient people understand these things deeply. Resources are precious because obtaining them requires work. The lesson appears again and again throughout daily life. Nearby, an elderly farmer rests quietly. His face shows the marks of many years beneath the sun. His hands are rough. His shoulders slightly bent. The child studies him for a moment. One day, adulthood will look something like this. Years of labor leave visible traces. The body remembers every season, every harvest, every drought, every journey beneath the sun. Children notice these things long before they fully understand them. Eventually the break ends. Work resumes. The fields fill once more with steady movement. The child continues helping. The basket gradually fills. Time passes slowly. Ancient life often moves at the pace of nature itself. There are no clocks marking every moment. People follow sunlight, weather, seasons. The rivers rise and fall. The natural world determines the rhythm. This slower pace does not mean life is easy. Far from it. The labor remains demanding. The days remain long. Yet there is a certain steadiness to it. A predictability that shapes every aspect of existence. As noon approaches, the heat becomes overwhelming. The land seems to shimmer. Air ripples above the ground. The child feels tired, hungry, thirsty. These sensations are familiar companions. Growing up without comfort often means growing familiar with discomfort. Not because people enjoy suffering. Simply because hardship is woven into daily life. The child learns patience. Learns endurance. Learns that tiredness eventually passes. Learns that work must continue despite temporary discomfort. These lessons become part of character. Not through speeches. Not through deliberate teaching. Through experience. Through repetition. Through ordinary days. The afternoon arrives slowly. Shadows remain short. The world feels wrapped in heat. Even insects seem quieter. The child notices a small breeze arriving from the river. It moves gently through the fields. For a brief moment, relief spreads through the air. Workers lift their faces toward it. Small comforts matter greatly when they are rare. A breeze. Cool water. Shade. Fresh bread. The company of loved ones. These simple things carry enormous value. As the day continues, the child begins helping with another task. Bundles of reeds must be gathered near the riverbank. The work requires a short walk. The child follows an older relative toward the water. The Nile appears calm and beautiful beneath the afternoon sun. Its surface sparkles endlessly. Reeds sway softly at the edge. Birds stand motionless in shallow water. The scene feels peaceful, timeless. The child kneels among the reeds. Hands move carefully. Bundles are tied together. Work proceeds slowly. There is no rush. Only steady effort. Nearby, fishermen tend their nets. Their boats drift gently against the shore. The child watches them occasionally. Fishing offers another possible future. Many paths exist within the village. Farmer, fisherman, builder, merchant, craftsman, servant, scribe, if fortune and opportunity allow. Yet nearly all paths involve labor. Physical effort remains a constant companion. The afternoon gradually softens. The sunlight begins losing some of its intensity. Shadows lengthen. Workers notice immediately. The hardest part of the day is ending. Relief spreads quietly through the landscape. The child feels it too. Tired muscles anticipate rest. The village begins preparing for evening. Smoke rises from cooking fires. Animals are guided home. Children finish their tasks. Merchants pack their goods. The familiar transition unfolds once more. The child walks back along a dusty path. The warm wind carries scents from the village. Bread baking. Wood smoke. Earth. These smells signal home. They signal safety. Even in a world with little physical comfort, home remains important. The mud brick house may be simple. The floor may be hard. The possessions may be few. Yet it belongs to the family. It is shelter. It is familiarity. It is a place where faces are known and trusted. Inside, preparations for the evening meal have already begun. The child helps grind grain. The stone feels heavy. The motion repetitive. Back and forth. Again and again. The work is tiring. Yet this task has been performed for generations. Mothers taught daughters. Fathers taught sons. Older children taught younger children. Knowledge moves quietly through families. Across decades. Across centuries. Outside, darkness slowly approaches. The sky glows with soft colors. Orange fades into purple. Purple fades into deep blue. The Nile reflects the changing light. Everything seems gentler now. The harsh brightness of midday has disappeared. The village exhales. The evening meal brings everyone together. Conversation remains quiet. No one wastes energy unnecessarily after a day of labor. The child listens more than speaks. Stories drift through the room. Small observations. Memories from past years. Practical advice. Fragments of wisdom. The kind of knowledge that rarely appears on monuments but shapes everyday life. Later, after the meal, family members sit outside briefly. The air feels pleasant. A breeze arrives from the river. Stars begin appearing overhead. One by one. Then hundreds. Then thousands. The child looks upward. The night sky feels enormous. Ancient children grow up beneath these stars. They learn their patterns. They watch them move across the seasons. The heavens become part of daily life. As darkness deepens, fatigue settles heavily across the household. The day's work has taken its toll. Eyes grow heavy. Voices grow softer. The child returns to the reed mat. The familiar sleeping place waits. Simple. hard, unchanged. Yet exhaustion makes sleep easy. The body no longer demands comfort. It demands rest. Outside, the Nile continues its endless journey through the darkness. The stars shine above the silent fields. A warm breeze moves gently across the village. And as another ordinary day fades into memory, the child drifts slowly into sleep, surrounded by the quiet rhythms of an ancient world that will awaken once more with the coming dawn. The night settles gently over the village once more. The child sleeps beneath a ceiling of mud and wooden beams, surrounded by family members resting after another long day. Outside, the narrow streets are quiet. The last cooking fires have faded into darkness. Clay jars stand motionless beside doorways. Donkeys rest in small enclosures. Dogs curl into the dust and dream their own simple dreams. Far beyond the village, the desert waits beneath the moonlight. The sand stretches toward the horizon in every direction. During the day it can seem harsh and endless. But at night it becomes calm, silent, almost peaceful. The Nile moves between these worlds. Between fertile fields and empty desert. Between life and stillness. Its waters continue flowing beneath the stars, carrying the same quiet rhythm that has shaped countless generations. Inside the house, the child turns slightly during sleep. The reed mat rustles softly. Even while resting, the body carries traces of the day. Tired muscles. Warm skin. Hands roughened by work. Such things are ordinary here. Most people cannot imagine a different life. The village itself is built upon this understanding. Work fills the days. Rest fills the nights. Then work begins again. Slowly the darkness begins to fade. A faint silver glow appears along the eastern horizon. The stars lose some of their brightness. The world prepares for another dawn. The child wakes before sunrise. This happens often. The rhythms of village life encourage early rising. The coolest hours are precious. They must be used wisely. The house feels quiet for a few moments. Then movement begins. A clay jar is lifted. Someone steps outside. A small fire crackles to life. Morning returns. The child sits up and rubs tired eyes. The floor beneath the mat feels cool. Soon it will become warm. The day has not yet revealed its heat. For now, the air remains gentle. Outside, a faint breeze moves through the streets. The village awakens slowly. No sudden rush. No loud signals. Just the gradual return of activity. The child follows a family member toward the communal oven. Several villagers are already there. Some carry dough prepared before dawn. Others wait patiently. The smell of baking bread soon begins drifting through the air. Warm. Earthy. Familiar. It is one of the most comforting scents in the village. Children often wake to the smell. Adults return home to it after long days of labor. The scent becomes tied to family and survival itself. The child watches as loaves are prepared. Hands move confidently. Years of practice guide every motion. Nothing is hurried. Bread requires patience. Like so many things in ancient Egypt, patience is one of the first lessons life teaches. The Nile teaches patience. The crops teach patience. The seasons teach patience. The child learns without realizing it. Waiting becomes natural. The morning meal is simple. Fresh bread. Water. Perhaps a few vegetables. Nothing extravagant. Yet the warmth of the bread feels satisfying. Especially in the cool moments before sunrise. Soon the first sunlight reaches the tops of distant palm trees. Golden light spreads across the fields. The Nile begins to shine. Birds emerge from the reeds. The village fully awakens. Today, the child will spend much of the day helping near the river. The walk there is familiar. Dust rises beneath each step. Neighbors pass along the road. Some carry tools. Some carry baskets. Some carry fishing equipment. Everyone seems to have somewhere to be. Something to do. Life along the Nile is deeply connected to water. Without it, fields would dry. Animals would suffer. Families would struggle. Every household understands this. The child reaches the riverbank just as sunlight spreads across the surface. The sight is beautiful. Gentle waves reflect the morning sky. Tall reeds sway softly. Small boats drift near the shore. Fishermen prepare for the day's work. The child helps gather bundles of reeds. The task requires patience more than strength. Hands move carefully among the plants. Bundles are tied together. Stacked neatly. Prepared for future use. Nothing goes to waste. Reeds become baskets. Mats. Roofing material. Countless useful items. Ancient communities depend upon such resources. Every material has value. Every object requires labor. The child learns to respect useful things. Carelessness can create hardship. As the morning continues, activity increases along the riverbank. Women fill water jars. Children carry messages. Merchants unload goods from boats. Workers move steadily through their routines. The Nile serves everyone. It is both road and lifeline. A source of food. A source of water. A source of work. The child pauses occasionally to watch the boats. Some travel only short distances. Others journey much farther. Their sails catch the morning breeze. White cloth against blue sky. The sight inspires quiet curiosity. The world beyond the village feels vast. Yet most people spend their lives close to home. There is always work nearby. Always responsibilities waiting. The sun climbs steadily higher. The pleasant coolness of morning begins to disappear. Heat settles over the riverbank. The child feels sweat forming along the forehead. Workers continue despite the growing warmth. They have little choice. The tasks of life cannot wait for cooler weather. Food must be produced. Materials gathered. Repairs completed. The village depends upon steady effort. By mid-morning, the child notices older workers moving with remarkable efficiency. Their movements seem effortless. Yet the child knows they are not. Years of experience have simply removed unnecessary motion. Every step has purpose. Every action conserves energy. This too is a lesson. Life becomes easier when effort is used wisely. No one explains this directly. The child learns by watching. As always, observation remains one of the greatest teachers. The heat grows stronger. The sunlight reflects from the water with dazzling brightness. The child squints toward the river. The air feels heavy now. Almost thick. Many workers wrap cloth around their heads for protection. Others seek brief moments of shade whenever possible. The child joins relatives beneath a simple shelter during a short break. Bread is shared. Water passes from hand to hand. The breeze from the river feels wonderful. For a little while, everyone rests. Conversations remain quiet. No one wastes energy speaking loudly. The heat encourages calmness. Even the village animals seem slower. A donkey stands motionless beneath a palm tree. A dog sleeps beside a wall. Birds hide among the reeds. Everything waits for evening. The child listens to the adults talking. Much of the conversation concerns practical matters. Water levels. Crop conditions. Repairs needing attention. Ancient life often revolves around necessities. People discuss what affects survival. The child absorbs these discussions naturally. Little by little, understanding grows. Knowledge accumulates like grains of sand. Small pieces gathered over many years. Eventually work resumes. The child helps load reeds onto a small cart. The bundles feel heavier now. Fatigue has begun to settle into the arms and shoulders. Yet there is satisfaction in contributing. Children raised in this world often take pride in usefulness. Being able to help matters. It means becoming part of the community. Part of the family effort. Part of the larger rhythm that keeps life moving forward. The afternoon unfolds slowly. The sun dominates the sky. The heat becomes intense. The child feels tired. Very tired. Yet nearly everyone feels the same way. Labor leaves its mark. It always has. It always will. The difference is that people here rarely expect comfort. They expect effort. This expectation changes how hardship feels. When something difficult arrives, it is accepted as part of life. Not welcomed. Simply accepted. The child learns resilience without hearing the word. Day after day. Season after season. The lesson settles quietly into the heart. At last the afternoon begins to soften. The shadows grow longer. The sunlight becomes gentler. Workers glance toward the horizon. The hardest hours are ending. Relief spreads through the landscape. The child feels renewed energy. Even a small drop in temperature feels wonderful after a day beneath the sun. The journey home begins. Dusty roads lead back toward the village. Smoke already rises from cooking fires. The scent of baking bread drifts through the air. People greet one another as they pass. Children finish chores. Animals return to familiar shelters. The village feels welcoming. Safe. Familiar. The child arrives home tired but content. The day's work is complete. For now. Inside the house, preparations for the evening meal are underway. The child helps with simple tasks. Gathering supplies. Moving jars. Assisting where possible. Every contribution matters. The work of maintaining a household never truly ends. It simply changes throughout the day. As darkness approaches, the sky becomes beautiful. Soft gold gives way to orange. Orange fades into deep blue. The Nile reflects these colors like polished stone. For a few moments, the entire landscape seems peaceful beyond words. The child sits outside and watches. No work. No responsibilities. Just stillness. These moments are rare. And because they are rare, they feel precious. The evening meal brings the family together once more. Simple food. Simple conversation. Simple comfort. Not comfort of soft cushions or luxurious surroundings. But comfort of belonging. Comfort of familiar voices. Comfort of knowing that another day has been survived. Another day has been shared. As stars appear overhead, the village gradually becomes quiet. The child feels sleep approaching. The body is ready. The mind is calm. The reed mat waits inside the house. The same sleeping place. The same familiar routine. Outside, the Nile continues its endless journey beneath the stars. The warm breeze drifts across fields and rooftops. The village settles into silence. And slowly, gently, the child closes tired eyes and drifts once more into the peaceful darkness of an ancient Egyptian night. The stars hang quietly above the Nile. Their reflections shimmer across the dark water as the village sleeps beneath the warm night sky. The day's heat has finally loosened its grip on the land. A gentle breeze moves through the narrow streets, carrying the scent of earth, reeds, and distant river water. The child sleeps deeply now. The long hours of labor have made sleep come easily. There is no need to search for rest. No need to chase it. When a day is filled with work from sunrise to sunset, sleep arrives naturally, like darkness following evening. Around the house, familiar sounds continue through the night. A donkey shifts softly in its shelter. A bird calls once from somewhere near the riverbank. Palm leaves rustle in the breeze. The Nile continues its endless journey through the darkness. Everything feels calm. Everything feels steady. The child does not know it yet, but these quiet nights will remain in memory long after individual days have been forgotten. The details of work may fade. Specific conversations may disappear. Yet the feeling of warm night air drifting through an open doorway will remain. The sound of the river will remain. The comfort of family sleeping nearby will remain. These small moments often leave the deepest marks. Slowly, the eastern horizon begins to brighten. Morning approaches once again. The stars fade one by one. The village stirs. Another day waits patiently beyond the darkness. The child wakes before sunrise. The reed mat crackles softly beneath shifting weight. The room is still dim. Family members are already beginning to move. The routine starts again. Just as it did yesterday. Just as it will tomorrow. The child steps outside. The air feels pleasant. Cool compared to the heat that will arrive later. For a little while, the village belongs to the early morning. Birds call from nearby trees. The Nile glows faintly beneath the first light. Workers walk quietly through dusty streets. The world feels peaceful. This may be the most comfortable part of the day. Not because conditions are luxurious. Because the heat has not yet arrived. Because the body has been allowed a few hours of rest. Because the demands of work are still waiting in the distance. The child follows family members toward a small storage building near the edge of the village. Today there is grain to sort. Large clay jars stand against the walls. Woven baskets are stacked neatly nearby. The smell of grain fills the air. Dry. Earthy. Familiar. The task is simple but important. Stored grain must be protected carefully. Families depend upon it. A damaged supply can create hardship. The child helps carry smaller baskets. The weight feels manageable at first. Yet after many trips, even light loads begin to feel heavy. This is another lesson of ancient life. Small efforts repeated many times eventually become exhausting. Adults understand this well. Children learn it gradually. The sun rises above the horizon. Golden light spreads across the village. The day begins in earnest. Already the air is warming. Already workers are wiping sweat from their brows. The child continues helping. Basket after basket. Trip after trip. There is little conversation. Everyone focuses on the task. Work often creates its own rhythm. The sound of footsteps. The rustle of grain. The scraping of baskets against the floor. These sounds blend together into something almost soothing. Hours pass. The child grows tired. Shoulders ache slightly. Hands feel rough. Yet there is satisfaction in seeing progress. The storage area becomes organized. Supplies are secured. The work has purpose. Purpose helps make effort easier to bear. As morning moves toward midday, the heat becomes stronger. The walls of the storage building provide some protection. Outside, sunlight shines brilliantly across the landscape. Dusty roads seem to glow beneath the sun. The child steps outdoors briefly and squints toward the distance. Beyond the fields, the desert stretches toward the horizon. Silent. Vast. Unchanging. The sight never fails to inspire respect. Life exists here because of the Nile. The contrast is visible everywhere. Green fields near the water. Dry earth beyond them. The river creates a narrow ribbon of life through an otherwise harsh land. The child may not think about this directly, but the lesson surrounds daily life. Water matters. Food matters. Work matters. Nothing can be taken for granted. Eventually a break arrives. Workers gather beneath shade. Bread is shared. Water jars are passed carefully from hand to hand. The child sits beside older relatives. The cool clay of a water jar feels wonderful against tired hands. A breeze drifts through the shelter. Everyone notices. Everyone appreciates it. Simple comforts remain powerful because they are rare. The child listens as adults speak quietly. They discuss crop growth, weather patterns, repairs that need attention, the coming season. Practical matters fill most conversations. Ancient life leaves little room for idle concerns. The needs of daily survival remain close at hand. The child learns by listening. Many lessons arrive this way. Not through direct instruction. Through countless overheard conversations. Through observation. Through participation. The afternoon begins. The heat settles heavily across the village. Even the shadows seem warm. The child helps with another task now. A family member needs assistance repairing part of the house. Mud brick walls require maintenance from time to time. Cracks appear. Weather leaves its mark. Repairs cannot be ignored. The child carries water and materials. Adults mix mud and straw. Carefully. Methodically. The process is familiar. Ancient homes are built from the land itself. Earth becomes shelter. Shelter protects families. Then the earth must be repaired again. The cycle continues. The child watches skilled hands shape and smooth the material. There is something calming about the work. No rushing. No wasted movement. Each action follows naturally from the one before it. The repair progresses steadily. As always, patience proves valuable. The sun continues its slow journey across the sky. Time feels different in this world. Without clocks measuring every moment, people become attentive to other signs. The position of shadows. The brightness of sunlight. The behavior of animals. The feeling of the air. These things help guide the day. The child grows familiar with them. Soon they become second nature. By late afternoon, the worst heat begins to fade. A subtle change spreads through the landscape. Workers straighten tired backs. Animals become more active. Children move with renewed energy. Everyone senses the approach of evening. The child walks toward the river for a short errand. The path is familiar. Dust rises beneath bare feet. Palm trees sway gently in the breeze. The Nile appears ahead. Calm as always. The river reflects the lowering sun. Golden light dances across the water. Fishermen guide boats toward shore. Their workday is ending. The child pauses for a moment. Just a moment. Enough time to watch the water. Enough time to feel the breeze. The river has always been there. Before the child was born. Before the parents were born. Before the grandparents were born. Flowing steadily through generations. Providing life. Providing food. Providing work. Providing beauty. The child may not understand the full significance of the Nile. But a deep connection exists nonetheless. It is impossible to grow up here without feeling it. Eventually the errand is completed. The journey home begins. The village glows softly in the evening light. Cooking fires send thin streams of smoke into the sky. The scent of baking bread drifts through the streets. Voices carry gently between homes. People return from fields and workshops. The entire community settles into its evening rhythm. Inside the house, preparations for supper continue. The child helps where possible. Simple tasks. Familiar tasks. Necessary tasks. There is comfort in familiarity. Knowing what must be done. Knowing how to do it. Knowing that others are working beside you. The meal is shared together. The day's effort makes even ordinary food taste satisfying. The child eats quietly. Fatigue settles deeper into muscles. The body feels heavy now. The work of the day has accumulated. Yet alongside the tiredness comes a quiet sense of belonging. Everyone has contributed. Everyone has played a part. Outside, darkness arrives slowly. Stars appear overhead. The air cools slightly. A pleasant breeze moves through the village. Families gather near doorways and courtyards. Conversations become softer. The pace of life slows. The child sits beside relatives and listens. Stories emerge. Small memories. Observations. Practical wisdom. No grand speeches. No dramatic tales. Just the gentle sharing of experience. These evenings help shape childhood as much as work does. Perhaps even more. Because here the child learns who they are. Who their family is. Where they belong. The stars shine brighter as the night deepens. The Nile becomes a dark ribbon beneath the moonlight. The village grows quiet. One household after another prepares for sleep. Eventually the child rises. The reed mat waits inside. Simple. Familiar. Unchanged. The body settles onto it with relief. The floor beneath remains hard. Yet exhaustion makes softness unnecessary. Sleep comes quickly. Outside, the river continues flowing through the darkness. Palm leaves rustle gently. A warm breeze drifts across rooftops and fields. And beneath the endless stars of ancient Egypt, another ordinary day slips quietly into memory as the child drifts peacefully into sleep once more. The night stretches quietly across the land. Above the village, countless stars fill the sky from horizon to horizon. They shine over the river, over the fields, over the distant desert, and over the small mud-brick homes where families sleep after another long day of labor. The Nile glides through the darkness. Its waters move with a calm certainty that never changes. Generation after generation has listened to this river. Children have fallen asleep to its distant sounds. Farmers have risen before dawn and walked beside it. Fishermen have trusted it. Builders have depended upon it. The river remains patient through it all. Inside the house, the child sleeps soundly. A warm breeze drifts through a small opening in the wall. The air smells faintly of earth and river water. Nearby, family members rest on their own reed mats. The room is simple. The walls are plain. There are no decorations meant only for beauty. Nearly everything inside serves a purpose. Storage jars, baskets, tools, cloth, the necessities of daily life. Children raised here learn early that possessions are valuable because they are useful. Every object represents someone's labor. Someone gathered the reeds. Someone shaped the clay. Someone carried the materials. Someone spent precious hours creating what the family now uses. Nothing appears from nowhere. This understanding quietly shapes the child's view of the world. Outside, the village remains still. The moon hangs above the Nile. Its pale light touches the water and turns portions of the river silver. Palm trees stand motionless. The desert beyond the fields waits in silence. The night seems endless. Yet slowly, almost without notice, morning begins to approach. The stars fade. Darkness softens. The first signs of dawn appear once more. The child opens tired eyes. For a few moments, there is only stillness. Then the familiar sounds return. Footsteps. Quiet voices. Clay jars being moved. The crackling of a small fire. Morning is arriving. Another day is beginning. The child rises and steps outside. The air feels cool against warm skin. This brief coolness always feels precious. Before long, the heat will settle over everything once again. For now, however, the village belongs to the early hours. Birds call from nearby trees. The Nile reflects the first pale colors of dawn. Workers begin appearing along the roads. Their silhouettes move through the half-light. The day starts gently. No rushing. No sudden urgency. Just the steady return of activity. The child helps prepare for the morning meal. Bread from the previous day is shared. Water is poured carefully. The meal is simple. Yet it provides what is needed. Ancient people often think about food differently than those who live in times of abundance. Food is not entertainment. Food is not variety. Food is nourishment. Energy for work. Strength for survival. The child eats quietly and then follows family members toward the fields. The path is already familiar. Dust rises beneath each step. Palm trees sway gently beside irrigation channels. The Nile glitters nearby. Morning sunlight spreads across the landscape. The fields appear beautiful in this early light. Green plants stretch toward the sky. The earth still holds traces of nighttime coolness. Workers move steadily among the crops. Today there is irrigation work to do. Water must be directed carefully. Channels require attention. The river provides life, but that life must be managed. The child watches older workers inspect the flow of water. Small adjustments make a difference. A blocked channel can affect an entire section of crops. Every detail matters. The child helps remove debris. Mud clings to bare feet. The cool water feels pleasant. For a little while, the work is almost enjoyable. The heat has not yet become overwhelming. The air remains fresh. Birds move through the reeds. The world feels calm. Yet even during these peaceful moments, effort remains constant. The child bends, lifts, carries, walks, returns, repeats. Much of ancient life consists of repetition. The same tasks, the same paths, the same responsibilities. Day after day, year after year. There is something almost comforting about this rhythm. People know what is expected. They know where they belong. The child is growing into this understanding. The sun climbs higher. Morning gradually becomes warmer. Workers remove sweat from their brows. The shadows begin shrinking. The bright Egyptian sky stretches endlessly overhead. Soon the familiar weight of heat settles across the land. The child feels it first on the shoulders, then on the face, then everywhere. The day grows heavier. Still, the work continues. No one stops because of discomfort. The crops depend upon care. The village depends upon the crops. Everything remains connected. The child understands this in a simple way. Perhaps not through words, but through experience. The lessons are everywhere. As the morning continues, an older relative explains small details about the fields. How to recognize healthy plants. How to notice signs of trouble. How to judge moisture in the soil. The child listens carefully. Knowledge passes quietly from one generation to another. There are no formal classrooms here. The fields themselves become the classroom. The river becomes the teacher. Life becomes the lesson. The child learns by doing, by watching, by listening, by repeating. Hour after hour, season after season. By midday, the heat becomes intense. The air seems to stand still. Workers move more slowly. Not because they are lazy. Because conserving energy is wise. The child joins family members beneath a simple shade structure. Everyone welcomes the opportunity to rest. Bread is shared. Water is passed carefully. The clay jar feels cool to the touch. The first drink is especially satisfying. Nearby, the Nile continues flowing. Its presence offers psychological comfort even when physical relief remains limited. Water means life. The sight of it reassures people. The child watches sunlight sparkle on the river. Tiny reflections dance across the surface. The scene feels peaceful, timeless. A fisherman guides a small boat along the shoreline. Farther away, another boat moves slowly downstream. Their sails catch a gentle breeze. For a few moments, the child forgets the heat. Simply watching the river is enough. Eventually the break ends. The afternoon waits. Work resumes. The child follows family members through the fields. The sun dominates the sky. The earth feels warm beneath bare feet. Insects hum softly among the plants. The child grows tired again. Very tired. Yet this tiredness has become familiar. It arrives almost every day. The body learns to accept it. Growing up without comfort often means developing a quiet relationship with fatigue. Not fighting it. Not fearing it. Simply understanding that it comes and goes. The child continues working. Step after step. Task after task. The hours pass. Slowly. Patiently. The same way the Nile flows. The same way crops grow. The same way childhood itself unfolds. As the afternoon begins to fade, shadows lengthen once more. The worst heat finally starts to retreat. Workers notice immediately. The atmosphere changes. Energy returns. Conversation becomes slightly more lively. Even the animals seem relieved. The child feels renewed strength. The end of the workday approaches. Together, family members begin the walk home. The dusty road stretches ahead. The village appears in the distance. Thin streams of smoke rise from cooking fires. The smell of bread drifts through the air. The scent feels welcoming. Home feels close. The child walks beside relatives. No one speaks much. The day has been long. Words require energy. The simple presence of family is enough. The village slowly fills with returning workers. Farmers, fishermen, craftsmen, laborers. Everyone moves toward home. The evening rhythm begins once more. Inside the house, preparations for supper are underway. The child helps with familiar tasks. Moving baskets, fetching water, organizing supplies. The work is lighter now. The hardest labor is finished. Outside, the sky transforms into beautiful shades of gold and orange. The Nile reflects every color. The entire landscape seems softer, gentler. The child pauses for a moment at the doorway. Just watching. Watching the evening settle over the village. Watching birds return to their resting places. Watching shadows stretch across the fields. Moments like this do not last long. Soon darkness will arrive. Soon sleep will return. Yet these brief moments of stillness matter. They become small islands of peace within a demanding life. The evening meal is shared. Simple food. Simple conversation. Simple gratitude. No one speaks of luxury. No one dreams of great comfort. The day's needs have been met. That is enough. After the meal, family members sit together beneath the emerging stars. The air feels pleasant now. The breeze from the river moves gently through the village. Stories are exchanged. Advice is shared. Children listen. Adults reflect. The child feels safe here. Not because life is easy. Because life is familiar. Because family is near. Because the village, the river, and the routines of daily existence create a sense of belonging. Eventually the stars grow brighter. Voices become quieter. One by one, families prepare for sleep. The child returns to the reed mat. The familiar place of rest. The familiar end to another day. Outside, the Nile continues its endless journey through the ancient darkness. The river flows. The stars shine. The warm breeze drifts softly across the sleeping village. And as the night settles gently over the land once more, the child closes heavy eyes and drifts peacefully into another deep and dreamless sleep. The village sleeps beneath a sky filled with stars. The night air moves gently across the rooftops of mud-brick homes. Palm trees stand quietly along the riverbank. Their dark shapes sway slightly whenever the breeze arrives from the Nile. Far across the water, reeds whisper softly against one another. The sound is almost impossible to notice unless everything else is silent. Tonight, everything is silent. The long day has ended. Workers rest. Animals sleep. Cooking fires have faded into faint patches of glowing ash. Only the river continues moving through the darkness. The child sleeps deeply. The body is growing. The days are demanding. Sleep comes quickly and completely. There are no soft mattresses. No thick blankets. No quiet rooms reserved for a single person. The child sleeps beside family, as many children do. The sounds of breathing fill the room. The familiar presence of loved ones surrounds every night. This closeness becomes one of the few forms of comfort available. Not physical comfort. Human comfort. The comfort of never truly being alone. Outside, the moon slowly crosses the sky. Hours pass. The Nile flows. The stars turn overhead. And eventually another dawn begins its slow arrival. At first, the change is difficult to notice. The eastern horizon becomes slightly lighter. The deepest darkness begins to soften. Birds awaken before most people. Their calls drift across the fields. A fisherman emerges from his home. A baker prepares an oven. A farmer lifts a water jar. The village starts breathing again. The child wakes. For a moment there is confusion. The lingering feeling of sleep. The fading fragments of dreams. Then the familiar reality returns. The house. The family. The coming day. The work waiting beyond the doorway. The child sits up. The reed mat creaks softly. Nearby, relatives are already preparing for the morning. The routine has repeated itself thousands of times before. It will repeat thousands of times again. Outside, dawn spreads across the landscape. The Nile glows pale silver. Mist lingers above portions of the water. The air feels surprisingly cool. Children raised along the Nile learn to appreciate these brief moments. They do not last long. Soon the sun will rise. Soon the heat will return. But for now, the world feels gentle. The child steps onto the dusty street. Neighbors are beginning their own routines. A woman carries a basket. A laborer adjusts a simple tool over his shoulder. A boy slightly older than the child leads a donkey toward the fields. Everyone has responsibilities. Even the youngest children often help with small tasks. Life requires participation. There is little room for idleness. The morning meal is simple. Bread. Water. Perhaps a few dates if the household has them. The child eats quietly. The food is familiar. Nearly every meal contains familiar foods. The variety is limited. But familiarity creates its own sense of stability. The child knows what to expect. The body knows what to expect. The day begins. Today, the child will spend time helping near one of the village workshops. Not every family works only in the fields. Ancient villages contain many kinds of labor. Some shape pottery. Some weave cloth. Some build furniture. Some repair tools. Some create baskets from reeds gathered along the river. The child walks toward a workshop where reeds are being transformed into useful objects. The building is simple. Open in places to allow air to circulate. Bundles of dried reeds rest against one wall. Finished baskets sit nearby. Workers are already busy. Hands move steadily. Patiently. The child watches closely. Watching remains one of the most important parts of growing up. Skills are not learned from books. They are learned from people. One pair of hands teaches another pair of hands. One generation teaches the next. The child helps sort bundles of reeds. Some are thick. Some are thin. Each has a purpose. The work requires attention. The child concentrates carefully. Making mistakes means creating more work later. This lesson appears again and again throughout ancient life. Carefulness saves effort. Carelessness creates effort. The workers move with remarkable skill. Their fingers weave reeds together almost automatically. Years of practice have shaped every movement. The child notices how calm they seem. No rushing. No wasted motion. The work unfolds at its own pace. Outside, the sun continues rising. Warmth begins spreading across the village. The coolness of dawn slowly disappears. Dust drifts through the streets. Merchants arrive carrying goods. Donkeys move between homes. Voices rise and fall. The village becomes fully awake. Inside the workshop, the scent of dried reeds fills the air. The child continues helping. Time passes quietly. Hours often pass this way in ancient Egypt. Without clocks. Without schedules written on paper. People follow the movement of sunlight. The position of shadows. The needs of the work itself. The child learns to sense the passing hours through these signs. As the morning advances, the workshop grows warmer. Sunlight spills through openings in the walls. Workers wipe sweat from their brows. The child feels heat gathering on the skin. Another hot day is arriving. No one is surprised. This is simply the nature of life here. The heat becomes part of childhood. Part of memory. Part of daily existence. The child carries finished baskets to a storage area. Each basket represents many hours of labor. Gathering reeds. Drying them. Sorting them. Weaving them. Every useful object requires effort. This understanding follows the child everywhere. Nothing appears easily. Nothing appears without work. Near midday, activity slows. Workers welcome the opportunity to rest. The child joins them beneath the shaded area beside the workshop. Bread is shared. Water is poured. The shade feels wonderful. Even a small patch of darkness becomes valuable beneath the Egyptian sun. The child sits quietly. Nearby, older workers discuss practical matters. Repairs that need attention. Supplies that must be gathered. Conditions along the river. The conversation moves slowly. No one seems hurried. The heat encourages patience. The child listens. Children often learn more from listening than from speaking. The adults may not realize how much the child absorbs. Yet every conversation becomes another lesson. Another piece of understanding. Another thread woven into the fabric of growing up. The afternoon arrives. The sun hangs high overhead. Outside, the streets appear almost empty. Most people seek shade whenever possible. Animals rest. Birds hide among trees and reeds. The child returns to helping in the workshop. The work feels heavier now. Not because the baskets are heavier. Because fatigue has begun to settle into the body. The shoulders ache slightly. The legs feel tired. The child continues anyway. This quiet persistence is learned early. There is work to do. So the work is done. Not dramatically. Not heroically. Simply steadily. Hour after hour. The child notices older workers showing signs of long years spent laboring. Hands marked by countless tasks. Faces shaped by sun and wind. Movements slower than they once were. Growing up means seeing these examples every day. The future becomes visible through the adults around you. The child begins to understand that life is long. That work continues year after year. That adulthood is not a distant mystery. It is slowly approaching. As the afternoon begins to soften, relief spreads through the workshop. The sunlight becomes less intense. The air grows slightly easier to bear. Workers straighten their backs. Finished baskets are stacked neatly. Tools are organized. The day is winding down. Outside, the village begins preparing for evening. The child walks home along a dusty road. The sun hangs low above the horizon. Golden light covers everything. Mud brick walls glow warmly. Palm trees cast long shadows. The Nile sparkles in the distance. This time of day always feels different. The pressure of work begins fading. The evening breeze arrives from the river. People emerge from shaded places. Children complete their final chores. Cooking fires are lit. The smell of bread fills the air once more. The scent drifts through every street. The child breathes deeply. Home is near. The familiar house appears ahead. The familiar doorway. The familiar voices. Inside, preparations for the evening meal continue. The child helps where needed. A basket is moved. Water is fetched. Supplies are arranged. Small tasks. Necessary tasks. Part of belonging to a family. Outside, darkness gradually approaches. The sky shifts from gold to orange. Orange to purple. Purple to deep blue. One star appears. Then another. Soon the heavens are filled with light. The meal is shared. The family gathers together. The day's labor is finished. For a little while, there is nothing left to do. The child listens as adults talk quietly. Stories drift through the evening air. Not stories of kings or great monuments. Stories of ordinary people. Harvests. Journeys. Neighbors. Memories. The kinds of stories that rarely survive through history, yet fill most human lives. The child listens carefully. These stories create connection. They create identity. They create belonging. The night deepens. The breeze grows cooler. The village becomes quiet once more. One by one, families prepare for sleep. The child enters the house. The reed mat waits in its usual place. Simple. Familiar. Reliable. The body settles onto it gratefully. The day's fatigue feels heavy now. The eyes begin closing. Outside, the Nile continues flowing beneath the stars. Palm leaves rustle softly in the darkness. The warm ancient night surrounds the village. And gently, peacefully, the child drifts into sleep once again, while the timeless river carries another day away into memory. The Nile moves quietly beneath the stars. Its dark waters slip through the sleeping land with the same steady rhythm they carried yesterday, and the day before that, and countless days before those. The river does not hurry. It does not pause. It simply continues, patient and dependable beneath the night sky. The village rests nearby. Mud-brick walls hold the warmth gathered during the day. Palm trees stand like dark silhouettes against the moonlit horizon. Narrow streets that were busy only hours ago now lie empty and still. Inside one small home, the child sleeps. The room is peaceful. Family members rest close together. The sounds of slow breathing blend with the distant murmur of the river. A faint breeze slips through an opening in the wall and moves gently across the room. The child dreams. Perhaps of the river. Perhaps of the fields. Perhaps of nothing at all. Many dreams are forgotten before morning arrives. But the feeling of safety remains. Even in a world where comfort is scarce, certain forms of comfort still exist. The presence of family. The familiarity of home. The certainty that morning will come. These things matter deeply. Outside, the moon slowly travels across the sky. Hours pass. The stars continue their silent journey overhead. The desert remains calm and motionless beyond the green ribbon of life surrounding the Nile. Eventually the first signs of dawn begin to appear. The darkness becomes softer. The horizon grows pale. Birds awaken among the reeds. The village begins stirring once more. The child opens sleepy eyes. The familiar room slowly comes into focus. The same walls. The same storage jars. The same baskets. The same reed mat. Another day has arrived. The child sits up and listens. Already the sounds of morning are beginning. Someone steps outside. A clay jar is lifted. A fire crackles softly. The village is waking. The child rises and follows family members into the cool morning air. For a brief time each day, the world feels almost gentle. The sunlight has not yet become harsh. The heat remains far away. The air carries the scent of damp earth from the riverbanks. Birds call from nearby trees. The Nile reflects the pale colors of dawn. Many people in the village are already awake. A fisherman walks toward his boat. A baker prepares dough. A farmer carries tools toward the fields. Everyone moves with quiet purpose. The child watches them. These scenes have been repeated for generations. Children have stood in these same streets and watched these same routines unfold for hundreds of years. The faces change. The work remains. The child helps prepare the morning meal. Simple bread. Water. Perhaps a few vegetables. The meal is modest. Yet hunger makes it satisfying. Food is never taken for granted. Too much labor stands behind every loaf. Too many hours beneath the sun. Too many careful tasks. The child has begun to understand this. Every year brings greater awareness of how much effort is hidden inside ordinary things. After eating, the child accompanies relatives toward the river. Today there is work involving fishing nets. The path follows familiar roads lined with footprints and wagon tracks. Dust rises softly beneath each step. Palm trees cast long shadows across the ground. The morning remains pleasant. For now. The river appears ahead. Wide. Calm. Beautiful. Sunlight dances across its surface. Boats rest along the shore. Some fishermen are already preparing to leave. Others are returning from work completed before sunrise. The child watches carefully. Fishing is both simple and complicated. The idea is simple. Catch fish. Feed families. Yet success requires knowledge. Knowledge of water. Knowledge of seasons. Knowledge of fish behavior. These lessons take years to learn. The child helps untangle portions of a net. The work demands patience. Thin ropes twist together easily. Careless hands can create problems. The child concentrates. Nearby, older fishermen work with practiced confidence. Their fingers move quickly. Efficiently. They have performed these tasks countless times. The child studies every movement. Watching remains one of the most valuable forms of learning. Soon the work begins to settle into a rhythm. Lift. Untangle. Fold. Repeat. The river laps gently against the shore. Birds circle overhead. Boats rock softly in the water. The atmosphere feels peaceful. Even work beside the Nile often carries a certain calmness. The river encourages it. Its steady presence seems to slow everything around it. As the morning progresses, activity increases along the riverbank. Merchants arrive with goods. Women collect water. Children run errands. Farmers cross small paths leading toward fields. Life unfolds in every direction. The child notices how connected everything feels. The fishermen depend upon the river. The farmers depend upon the river. The merchants depend upon the farmers and fishermen. The village depends upon everyone. No one truly stands alone. Each person contributes something. This understanding grows naturally in communities where survival depends upon cooperation. The sun climbs higher. Warmth spreads across the land. The pleasant coolness of dawn begins fading. Workers remove sweat from their brows. The child feels heat settling across the shoulders. Another hot day is taking shape. Nobody seems surprised. The seasons change. The river rises and falls. The sun shines. These things are simply part of life. The child continues helping with the nets. The work grows more tiring. Arms begin to ache. The back feels stiff. Yet the child keeps going. Much of childhood here involves learning how to continue despite discomfort. Not through force. Not through harsh instruction. Through daily experience. The body adapts. The mind adapts. The child learns that tiredness is temporary. That effort eventually leads to rest. That difficult moments pass. By late morning, the heat has become noticeable. The bright sky stretches overhead without a cloud. The river sparkles beneath intense sunlight. Even the breeze feels warmer now. Workers gather beneath a shaded structure near the shore. The child joins them. Water is shared. Bread is divided carefully. Everyone appreciates the break. The shade feels wonderful. The cool clay water jars feel wonderful. Simple things often bring the greatest relief. The child drinks slowly. Nearby, fishermen exchange quiet conversation. They speak about river conditions, fish populations, weather patterns, practical knowledge gathered through years of experience. The child listens. Every conversation contains lessons. Every observation adds another small piece of understanding. Growing up is often less dramatic than people imagine. It happens gradually, quietly, one day at a time. The afternoon arrives. The heat settles heavily across the village. Many activities slow. Even the riverbank seems quieter. The child continues working beside relatives. Tasks become slower. Movements become more careful. Everyone conserves energy. The sun dominates the sky. The hours pass steadily. The child notices fatigue building once again. This feeling has become familiar. Yet alongside the tiredness comes a growing sense of capability. Tasks that once seemed difficult now feel ordinary. Responsibilities that once belonged only to adults are beginning to feel manageable. Childhood is slowly changing. Not suddenly. Gradually. Like the movement of the river itself. The afternoon eventually begins to soften. Shadows lengthen. The sunlight becomes less harsh. Workers notice immediately. A quiet feeling of relief spreads through the air. The end of the workday approaches. The child helps store the fishing nets. Everything is folded carefully. Organized neatly. Protected for tomorrow. Tomorrow's work begins with today's preparation. Ancient life often works this way. One task leads naturally into the next. One day prepares for another. The child walks home with family members. The dusty road glows golden beneath the lowering sun. Palm trees sway gently in the evening breeze. The village appears welcoming ahead. Smoke rises from cooking fires. The smell of baking bread drifts through the air. The scent feels familiar and comforting. People greet one another as they return home. Voices carry softly through the streets. Animals settle into their shelters. Children finish final chores before darkness arrives. The village seems to relax. The day's effort is nearly finished. Inside the house, preparations for the evening meal are underway. The child helps without being asked. Some habits become automatic. Responsibilities become part of identity. The work feels natural now. Outside, the sky changes color. Gold becomes orange. Orange becomes purple. purple deepens into blue. The first stars appear. The Nile reflects the fading light. For a few moments, everything seems especially peaceful. The child pauses to watch. No task. No instruction. Just quiet observation. These moments are brief. Yet they remain important. Small pockets of stillness inside a busy life. The family shares the evening meal together. Simple food. Simple conversation. The child listens as adults discuss the day. Nothing extraordinary happened. Most days are ordinary. Yet ordinary days create a life. One sunrise after another. One meal after another. One season after another. The night grows deeper. The breeze from the river feels pleasant. The village becomes quieter with every passing hour. Eventually the child returns to the reed mat. The familiar place of rest waits patiently. The body feels heavy. The eyes grow tired. Outside, the Nile continues flowing beneath the stars. Palm leaves whisper softly in the darkness. The warm ancient night wraps itself around the sleeping village. And gently, as another day slips away into memory, the child drifts peacefully into sleep once more beside the timeless river. The ancient night settles softly across the Nile Valley. The stars shine above the river as they have for countless generations. Their light touches the water, the fields, the palm trees, and the quiet rooftops of the village. Nothing seems hurried beneath this sky. The Nile continues its patient journey through the darkness. Along the riverbank, reeds sway gently whenever a breeze arrives. Small ripples move across the surface of the water. Somewhere in the distance, a boat tied near the shore creaks softly against its rope. The village sleeps. The narrow roads that were filled with footsteps during the day now lie silent. Workshops stand empty. Storage buildings are closed. The ovens have cooled. Inside the small house, the child sleeps deeply. The long days continue to shape a growing body. Work fills the hours of sunlight. Sleep fills the hours of darkness. The rhythm rarely changes. And because it rarely changes, it becomes comforting in its own way. The child no longer thinks much about the reed mat. It has always been there. The hard-packed floor beneath it has always been there. The walls have always surrounded the family. Children adapt easily to the world they know. What feels difficult to an outsider simply feels normal to them. The child dreams quietly. Outside, the moon slowly moves across the sky. Time passes. The Nile flows. The stars drift overhead. And eventually the first signs of another morning begin to appear. The darkness softens along the eastern horizon. Birds awaken among the reeds. The cool air carries the scent of water and earth. Another day is preparing to begin. The child opens sleepy eyes. For a few moments there is stillness. Then the familiar sounds return. Footsteps. Voices. Clay jars being lifted. A door opening. The crackle of a small cooking fire. The village is waking once more. The child rises and steps outside. The dawn air feels refreshing. The sky glows pale blue and silver. The Nile reflects the first light of morning. Across the village, people begin their routines. A fisherman carries a folded net. A woman balances a jar on her shoulder. A merchant prepares goods for the day ahead. Everyone seems connected to the same rhythm. The child watches them for a moment. Then joins the day's work. The morning meal is prepared. Simple bread. Fresh water. A few vegetables. Nothing elaborate. Nothing wasteful. Every bit of food represents labor. The child understands this more clearly with each passing year. Bread begins in the fields. The fields require water. The water requires channels. The channels require maintenance. Everything is connected. After breakfast, the child accompanies relatives toward a section of farmland near the river. The path winds between fields and irrigation ditches. The air remains pleasant. Birds move among the reeds. The Nile glitters nearby. Morning is often the most beautiful part of the day. The sunlight feels gentle. The heat remains distant. The world seems calm. The child walks beside older family members. Listening. Watching. Learning. Today there is work involving harvested flax. Bundles must be sorted and prepared. Flax is valuable. Its fibers can eventually become cloth. The process takes time. Like nearly everything in ancient Egypt. Time and labor. Time and patience. Time and skill. The child helps carry smaller bundles. The fibers feel rough against the hands. Dust rises into the air. The work is not exciting. Most work rarely is. Yet it matters. And because it matters, people do it carefully. The child watches experienced workers separate and organize the material. Their movements are practiced. Confident. Years of repetition have made every action efficient. The child studies them closely. This is how knowledge travels. Not through books. Not through formal lessons. Through observation. Through participation. Through countless ordinary mornings. The sun rises higher. The air grows warmer. Shadows begin shrinking. The familiar heat slowly returns to the land. Workers continue their tasks. The child continues helping. Hours pass steadily. The sound of work fills the fields. Footsteps. Voices. Bundles being moved. Birds calling from nearby reeds. The atmosphere remains calm. Busy, but calm. Ancient life often feels this way. There is much to do. Yet there is little rushing. The work unfolds according to necessity. The crops grow at their own pace. The river flows at its own pace. People learn to follow those rhythms. As the morning advances, the child begins feeling tired. The shoulders ache slightly from carrying bundles. The hands feel rough. Sweat forms along the forehead. These sensations are familiar now. Growing up without comfort means becoming familiar with discomfort. Not suffering. Not misery. Simply discomfort. Heat. Fatigue. Soreness. Dust. These things accompany daily life. The child rarely thinks about them for very long. They are simply part of the day. By late morning, the heat becomes more intense. The bright Egyptian sky stretches overhead without interruption. The sunlight reflects from the fields and irrigation channels. Everything seems brighter, warmer, heavier. Workers gather beneath a shaded shelter for a brief rest. The child joins them. Bread is shared. Water is passed carefully. The shade feels wonderful. A cool breeze arrives from the Nile. For a few moments, everyone relaxes. The child watches the river in the distance. Its surface sparkles beneath the sun. Boats move slowly across the water. Their sails catch the breeze. The sight feels peaceful. The Nile never seems hurried. Perhaps that is one reason people feel calm when looking at it. The river simply continues. Steady. Patient. Reliable. The break ends. Work resumes. The afternoon begins. The heat settles heavily across the landscape. Workers move more slowly. Animals seek shade. Birds become quieter. The child returns to helping with the flax. The work feels more difficult now. Not because the bundles are heavier. Because fatigue has begun accumulating throughout the day. Yet the child continues. One task after another. 1 hour after another. The steady rhythm of effort continues. Nearby, older workers share small pieces of advice. How to protect materials from moisture. How to recognize good fibers. How to avoid wasting effort. The child listens carefully. Such lessons matter. Mistakes can create extra work. Extra work means extra fatigue. Efficiency becomes valuable. The child begins noticing how experienced workers conserve energy. They move carefully, thoughtfully. Nothing is wasted. Every motion serves a purpose. These habits are developed over years. Perhaps one day the child will move with the same confidence. The same calm efficiency. The afternoon slowly softens. Shadows begin growing longer. The worst heat finally starts to fade. Workers notice immediately. Relief spreads quietly through the fields. The child feels it too. The air becomes easier to breathe. The sunlight becomes gentler. Energy returns little by little. Eventually the workday begins coming to an end. Tools are gathered. Materials are stored. The fields grow quieter. The child starts the journey home. Dust rises beneath each step. The village waits ahead. Smoke curls upward from cooking fires. The scent of baking bread drifts through the evening air. The smell feels welcoming, comforting, familiar. People move through the streets. Children complete final chores. Merchants close their stalls. Animals return to shelters. The entire village settles into its evening rhythm. The child arrives home tired. Very tired. The body feels heavy. The shoulders ache. The legs feel worn from hours of standing and walking. Yet there is satisfaction too. The day's work is finished. For now. Inside the house, evening preparations continue. The child helps fetch water. Moves baskets. Assists with small tasks. The work is lighter than before. The hardest part of the day has passed. Outside, the sky becomes beautiful. Golden light covers the landscape. Palm trees cast long shadows. The Nile reflects the colors of sunset. For a brief time, everything seems wrapped in warmth. The child sits near the doorway and watches. Watching the evening settle over the village. Watching birds return home. Watching darkness slowly approach. These quiet moments often become the most memorable. Not because anything dramatic happens. Because nothing dramatic happens. Because peace itself can leave a lasting impression. The evening meal is shared. Family members gather together. Voices remain soft. The conversation drifts from one topic to another. Work. Neighbors. The river. The coming days. Ordinary subjects. The subjects that fill most human lives. The child listens while eating. The room feels warm. Safe. Familiar. Outside, stars begin appearing overhead. One by one. Soon the night sky is filled with them. The breeze from the Nile moves gently through the village. The air feels pleasant now. The heat of the day has finally retreated. Families sit together for a while longer. Stories are shared. Advice is given. Children listen. Adults reflect. The child feels sleep approaching. The signs are familiar. Heavy eyelids. Tired muscles. Slower thoughts. Eventually it is time to rest. The child returns to the reed mat. The same place. The same routine. The same comforting rhythm. Outside, the Nile flows beneath the stars. Palm leaves rustle softly in the darkness. The village grows quiet. And as another ordinary day fades gently into memory, the child closes weary eyes and drifts peacefully into sleep beside the timeless waters of the ancient river. The Nile drifts through the darkness like a ribbon of shadow. Above it, the stars shine with quiet certainty. Their reflections tremble softly on the water whenever a breeze moves across the surface. Along the banks, reeds whisper gently to one another. Palm trees stand watch over the sleeping fields. The village is silent now. The day's work has ended. The ovens have cooled. The tools have been put away. The roads are empty. Only the river remains awake. Inside the small mud-brick house, the child sleeps deeply. The body rests after another long day beneath the Egyptian sun. Hands that carried baskets are still. Feet that walk dusty roads are motionless. Eyes that spent hours watching fields, workshops, and riverbanks remain closed. Sleep is one of the few things that arrives freely. No one must build it. No one must harvest it. No one must carry it from place to place. It simply comes with the night. The child breathes slowly. Nearby, family members rest as well. The room feels warm but comfortable enough. The faint scent of earth lingers in the air. Outside, somewhere beyond the village, a night bird calls. Then silence returns. Hours pass. The moon crosses the sky. The stars continue their slow journey overhead. And eventually, the darkness begins to soften. Morning approaches once more. The first light appears along the horizon. Birds awaken among the reeds. The cool air of dawn drifts across the village. The child stirs. The familiar sounds of morning return. A door opening. Footsteps on packed earth. The crackle of a cooking fire. Voices speaking quietly. Another day has arrived. The child rises from the reed mat and steps outside. The sky glows pale blue. The Nile reflects the colors of dawn. A light mist hovers above portions of the river. For a few moments, everything feels peaceful. The heat has not yet arrived. The world seems calm and gentle. This brief window between night and day is treasured by many people. Workers begin moving through the streets. Some head toward the fields. Others toward workshops. Others toward the river. The child watches them while helping prepare the morning meal. Bread is shared. Water is poured carefully into cups. The meal is simple. As always. Yet there is comfort in familiarity. The same foods. The same routines. The same people gathered together. After eating, the child joins a relative traveling toward a nearby workshop where clay vessels are made. The path winds through familiar streets. Dust rises beneath bare feet. The village is fully awake now. Merchants arrange goods. Children carry messages. Farmers disappear into the fields. The workshop stands near the edge of the settlement. Its walls are simple. Its roof provides welcome shade. Inside, the smell of clay fills the air. Cool. Earthy. Distinct. Large jars stand against one wall. Some are finished. Others are still drying. The child pauses to look at them. Each jar represents hours of work. Clay gathered from the earth. Water mixed carefully. shapes formed by skilled hands. Then time. Time for drying. Time for firing. Time for patience. Almost everything in ancient Egypt requires patience. The child helps carry smaller pieces of clay. The material feels cool at first, pleasant against warm hands. Nearby, experienced craftsmen shape vessels with steady movements. Their hands work confidently. Every motion seems effortless. Yet the child knows those skills came from years of practice. Nothing appears overnight. Knowledge grows slowly. Just like crops. Just like children. As the morning continues, sunlight spills through openings in the workshop. The temperature begins rising. Outside, the village brightens beneath the strengthening sun. The child continues helping. Clay is moved. Water is carried. Finished pieces are placed carefully aside. The work requires attention. A careless mistake can ruin hours of effort. Children learn this lesson often. Pay attention. Move carefully. Think ahead. Such habits become part of daily life. The child watches one of the older craftsmen smoothing the side of a large storage jar. The movements are calm and precise. There is no rushing. No wasted effort. The child notices this again and again among experienced workers. Patience often saves energy. Haste often creates more work. These lessons are not written down. They are demonstrated. Day after day. Year after year. The sun climbs higher. The workshop grows warmer. Outside, heat settles over the village. The streets become brighter. The shadows grow shorter. The child feels sweat forming along the forehead. Another hot afternoon is slowly approaching. For now, however, work continues. The sounds of the workshop create a gentle rhythm. Hands shaping clay. Water pouring into bowls. Footsteps crossing packed earth. Quiet conversations drifting through the air. The atmosphere feels peaceful despite the labor. The child begins to understand something important about adulthood. Most days are not marked by extraordinary events. Most days are built from small tasks completed carefully. A jar shaped properly. A field watered correctly. A net repaired before it breaks. Life moves forward through these ordinary actions. By late morning, the heat becomes difficult to ignore. Workers welcome the arrival of a short rest. The child joins them beneath a shaded area beside the workshop. Bread is shared. Water is passed around. The coolness of the clay cups feels wonderful. Even the smallest comforts seem valuable after hours of labor. The child eats quietly. Nearby, the craftsmen discuss their work. Repairs that must be completed. Orders that need attention. Materials that should be gathered. Practical conversations. The kinds of conversations that keep a village functioning. The child listens carefully. Listening remains one of the most important forms of learning. Sometimes knowledge arrives not through direct instruction but through simple presence. Being nearby. Paying attention. Watching adults solve problems. The break ends. Work resumes. The afternoon arrives. Heat presses down upon the village. The bright sky seems endless. Outside, animals seek shade wherever they can find it. Inside the workshop, the air feels heavy. The child continues helping. The body grows tired. The legs ache slightly. The shoulders feel sore. Yet the work remains manageable. Many tasks that once seemed difficult now feel ordinary. The child is growing stronger. Growing more capable. growing more useful to the family. This transformation happens gradually, almost invisibly. One season at a time. One responsibility at a time. As the afternoon continues, a breeze arrives from the direction of the Nile. The workers notice immediately. The air feels slightly cooler. Relief spreads through the workshop. Even a small breeze can change the mood of an entire afternoon. The child closes tired eyes for a moment and enjoys the feeling. Then the work continues. Hours pass. The sunlight slowly begins to soften. Shadows lengthen. The worst heat finally starts to retreat. Everyone seems to breathe a little easier. The end of the workday approaches. Finished vessels are arranged carefully. Tools are cleaned and stored. The workshop gradually becomes quiet. The child follows relatives back toward the village. The evening light covers everything in gold. Palm trees cast long shadows across dusty roads. The Nile sparkles in the distance. The sight feels familiar and reassuring. Many evenings look like this. And that consistency creates its own kind of comfort. The child walks home through streets filled with returning workers. Farmers. Fishermen. Builders. Craftsmen. Everyone moving toward food, family, and rest. The smell of baking bread drifts through the air. Cooking fires send thin streams of smoke toward the sky. Voices echo softly between the houses. The village feels alive in a quiet way. Inside the home, preparations for the evening meal are underway. The child helps with simple tasks. Water is fetched. Baskets are moved. Supplies are arranged. No one asks twice. Everyone understands their role. The sun sinks lower. The sky changes from gold to orange. Then purple. Then deep blue. The first stars appear overhead. The child pauses outside for a moment. Watching. Listening. Feeling the evening breeze. The Nile glows softly beneath the fading light. Birds settle into their resting places. The day is ending. The evening meal is shared among family members. Simple food. Simple conversation. Simple satisfaction. The day's work has been completed. That is enough. Afterward, the family remains together for a while. Stories drift through the warm night air. Memories are shared. Advice is offered. The child listens quietly. These moments shape childhood just as surely as labor does. They teach belonging. They teach identity. They teach what it means to be part of something larger than oneself. Eventually sleep begins calling once more. The child feels it in tired muscles and heavy eyelids. The reed mat waits inside. Familiar. Reliable. Unchanged. The child lies down. Outside, the Nile continues flowing beneath the stars. The warm desert breeze moves gently across the village. Palm leaves rustle softly in the darkness. And as the ancient night settles once again over the river and fields, the child drifts peacefully into sleep, carried by the quiet rhythms of a world where comfort is rare, but belonging is never far away. The night rests gently over the Nile. The river continues its endless journey beneath the stars, just as it did long before the child was born, and just as it will long after this quiet evening has passed into memory. The village is asleep. The ovens are cool. The workshops are silent. The fields rest beneath the darkness. Palm trees sway softly in the warm breeze drifting from the water. The child sleeps peacefully inside the small mud-brick home. The reed mat lies upon the packed earth floor. Family members rest nearby. No voices remain awake now. No footsteps move through the dusty streets. Only the faint sounds of the night remain. The whisper of reeds along the riverbank. The distant call of a bird. The soft rustling of leaves in the darkness. And beneath it all, the quiet flow of the Nile. Day after day, year after year, life along the river has moved according to its gentle rhythm. Children have grown. Workers have labored. Bread has baked in warm ovens. Fishing boats have crossed the water at dawn. Families have gathered beneath the evening stars. Ordinary days have come and gone. Most of them never recorded. Most of them never remembered by history. Yet they mattered. They were lives fully lived beneath the Egyptian sun. Lives shaped by work. By family. By patience. By endurance. And now the village sleeps. The heat of the day has faded. The night air feels soft and calm. The stars above the Nile shine quietly. The same stars that watched over farmers, fishermen, builders, servants, merchants, and children through countless generations. The river glimmers beneath their light. Steady. Patient. Timeless. The child dreams somewhere inside the darkness. Safe within the familiar sounds of home. Safe within the rhythm of another ordinary night. Tomorrow, the sun will rise again. The birds will call from the reeds. The river will sparkle beneath the morning light. The village will awaken. Life will continue. But for now, there is only stillness. Only the warm breeze moving gently across the water. Only the quiet murmur of the Nile. Only the stars above. And as the ancient river flows softly through the darkness, the village drifts deeper into silence. The fields grow still. The reeds grow still. The voices of the day fade away. The river remains. The stars remain. And slowly, gently, the ancient night carries everything into peaceful rest. The Nile flows on beneath the sleeping sky. And all is quiet,